Today we begin with the chapter 20, that is locomotion and movement. Now, what do you mean by movement? Movement is the basic and fundamental property of all organisms, especially of animals. Even smaller and single cell organisms exhibit some degree of movement. At cellular level, the cytoplasm exhibits streaming movement called cyclosis. Cyclosis is the streaming movement of cytoplasm. At the level of organism, the plants move their parts by phototropism and geotropism. Highest degree of movement is shown in animals which can change the plane of orientation of their appendages or limbs at will. Various types of movements in animals include peristalsis, pumping action of heart, flow of blood, movement of eyeball, jaws, pinna in some animals, tongue, etc. Besides these, animals are also equipped with an ability to change their place for various purposes. They can move from one place to another by their own efforts and exhibit activities like include running, flying, swimming, jumping, crawling, somersaulting, etc. Change of place is referred to as locomotion. Or the voluntary movement are called locomotion. I told you, like walking, running, jumping, flying, somersaulting, all these. Then besides this, it is difficult to separate movement from locomotion. And in animals, locomotion is intimately related to movement. Any change of place involves movement of cytoplasm, cells, tissues and organs. Animals are required to move from one place to another for getting food and other things, as well as saving themselves from predators. Thus, in most of the organisms, especially in animals, the two terms are interrelated. The coordination of both is essential for the individual to carry out its vital life activities. Therefore, locomotion and movement, they are interrelated. Now, in your course, the muscular movement is there, or the structure of. There are various types of movements like amoeboid movement, ciliary movement, muscular movement. But in your course, there is muscular movement. Now, first of all, we'll move on to the muscular movement. What do you mean by muscular movement? Here you can see, I'll give you the examples of the ciliary and amoeboid movement. Ciliary movement you can see in the protozoans like in Paramecium, Trypanosoma, Euglena. Okay, so as well as you might be knowing about the flagella. So the cilia and the flagella, they have essentially the same structure, except the flagella are longer than the cilia. So ciliated protozoans like Paramecium, they use their cilia to move in water easily. As well as in these organisms, cilia is also used to drive food in their body through cytopharynx. Flagella is used by animals like Euglena, Trypanosoma for their movement. Flagella of choanocyte cells maintain the flow of water through sponge body. Then in higher organisms, cilia are not present over the entire surface. Instead, they are restricted to their certain organs, especially these organs which deal with the movement of fluids through them. So now the muscular movement, it is the characteristic of higher organisms only. Almost all vertebrates and many invertebrates of higher category execute their movements by this mechanism. So this type of movement, that is muscular movement, is brought about by the activity of specialized contractile tissues called muscles, and this type of movement is brought about due to this contractile action of the muscles. So muscles are associated with internal organs of the body which help in their movement, such as peristalsis, that is rhythmic movement of alimentary canal. Peristalsis is the rhythmic movement of alimentary canal. Then heart beating, movements of lungs, etc. Then muscles associated with limbs help both in movements, that is changing in the body posture, as well as locomotion, that means changing place. Locomotion means changing place. Now there are basic types of muscles. In the muscular system is formed by muscles in human beings. These muscles are mesodermal tissues. Muscles form about 40% of the total body weight. The cells of the muscle tissue are called myocytes. Cells of the muscle tissues are called as myocytes. They are provided with special properties like excitability, contractibility, extensibility and elasticity. So due to their excitability and contractibility as well as elasticity nature, they easily contract and relax. There are 639 muscles in human body. I repeat, there are 639 muscles in human body. Out of these, 634 muscles are found in 317 pair or 317 pairs, while remaining 5 muscles are unpaired. Now the basic types of muscles, depending upon the nature and structure of the functions, the muscles are 3 types: striated or voluntary muscles, cardiac muscles, unstriated or involuntary muscles. These are attached to the bones by tendons. Skeletal muscles are attached to the bones by tendons and help in the movement of the parts of skeleton. These muscles are also called as voluntary muscles because they are under the control of conscious mind and can be moved at will. Under the light microscope, these skeletal muscles exhibit transverse stripes and hence these are designated as striated muscles. These muscle fibers or the fibers of these muscles are unbranched and they are multinucleated. These skeletal muscles exhibit a high degree of contractibility and extensibility. These are responsible for movements of various organs to facilitate movement. Next, cardiac muscles. Cardiac or heart muscles resembles the skeletal muscles in many ways, as it is striated and each cell contains sarcomeres with sliding filaments of actin and myosin proteins. Cardiac muscles has a number of unique features that reflects its function of continuous blood pumping. Cardiac muscles are made up of myocardial cells, each with a single nucleus. This I have already told you when I taught you the pumping of the heart. Our heart is myogenic due to these cardiac muscles which are made up of myocardial cells. The cells are highly branched. The branch of different cells are intercommunicated at the junction of the two adjacent cells, the sarcolemma or the plasma membrane of the muscle cell forms intercalated disc. They form intercalated disc. These intercalated discs are the communicating disc. Presence of intercalated disc is the characteristic feature of the cardiac muscles. The discs are strong junctions which enable the heart to contract forcefully without ripping the fibers apart. All the fibers of cardiac muscles contract in a synchronous wave. Anything that interferes with this synchronous wave, such as damage to a part of heart muscle from a heart attack, may cause the fibers of the heart to beat at random, called fibrillation. So the fibrillation may lead to the death. Therefore, the refractory period in heart muscle is longer than the period it takes for the muscle to contract. That is systole, and relax, that is diastole. These are the two pressures I have already explained you. Thus, tetanus is normally not possible. Therefore, cardiac muscles have much richer blood supply of mitochondria than skeletal muscles. This shows their greater dependence on cellular respiration for ATP. Cardiac muscles have little glycogen and get little benefit from glycolysis when the supply of oxygen is limited. Now we move on to the next type of the muscle, that is smooth muscle. Smooth muscles are made up of single nucleated spindle shaped cells. These cells are unbranched and these get their name because of no striations are visible in them. So we can say they are unstriated because of the absence of the striations. Nonetheless, each smooth muscle cells contain a thick myosin protein and a thin actin filament that slide against each other to produce contraction of the cell. The thick and the thin filaments are anchored near the plasma membrane with the help of intermediate filament. Smooth muscles like cardiac muscles do not depend on motor neurons to be stimulated. However, motor neurons of the autonomic system reach smooth muscles and can stimulate it or relax it depending on the neurotransmitter they release. Smooth muscles can also be made to contract by other substances released in the vicinity, that is paracrine stimulation. Example, release of the histamine causes contraction of the smooth muscle lining or air passage, triggering an attack of asthma. Similarly, oxytocin reaching the uterus stimulates it to contract to begin childbirth. Smooth muscles have low degree of contractions. Smooth muscles have low degree of contractions. Now examples of the smooth muscles. They are present in internal visceral organs, iris, blood vessels, dermis, etc., as well as skeletal muscles present in the limbs, body walls, tongue, etc., and cardiac muscles present in the wall of the heart chambers. This way I told you the differences between the three types of muscles, which I have already explained you when I was teaching you about the tissues. So we can just recall that skeletal muscles are cylindrical, whereas smooth muscles are spindle, and cardiac muscles are also cylindrical. Then skeletal muscles are multinucleated, whereas smooth muscles and cardiac muscles are uninucleated. Then there is presence of intercalated disc in the cardiac muscles, whereas intercalated discs are absent in smooth and the skeletal muscles. Then skeletal muscles are voluntary in nature, whereas smooth muscles and cardiac muscles are involuntary in nature. Then skeletal muscles undergo fatigue very soon, whereas smooth muscles, they rarely undergo fatigue, and the cardiac never undergo fatigue. Then I told you skeletal muscle possess high degree of contractibility, whereas smooth muscles possess low degree of contractibility, and cardiac muscles possess high degree of contractibility. Thank you.